Thank you so much, Reverend Brown. And once again, can we please give young Bradley a loving round of applause? Young Bradley, if you don't mind me asking, how old is Mr. Bradley? 7, okay. Because back in the day when he was 4, Bradley's been working at this a while now, almost half of his life. You hang on in there, Bradley. I'm so proud of you. So proud of these young men and young women that have participated in the oratorical competition. So gifted, so talented, and thank our nurturing staff and the support that has poured into these young people. Thank all the volunteers that have surrounded these young men and women and given them a sense of community. And it wasn't until the age of 39 that I freely took to come before a crowd here at Rainbow Push, having been stopped and put in the back of a police car, where I began to find my voice and my advocacy. So for the late bloomers that are out there watching, it's never too late to pick up an advocacy, to find your voice, and to make yourself heard. Stand up to make a difference. I'd like to thank my brother in spirit, very loving pastor, Pastor Kent Muncie. Thank him for coming out with City Choir and his distinguished colleagues and friends today. And I would have to say, you've made your father, Pastor Steve Muncie, proud, and that the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. A young prophetic voice, and he's offered so much in such a very short period of time and has so much more to go. This is the essence of Rainbow Push. Sometimes they're like, well, isn't it for blacks only? No. There's one Bible, and it's universal, and it can take you around the world. And Pastor Muncie, thank you for sharing. Dad, thank you for teaching and giving. Last night, I just got back in from Qatar and the United Arab Emirates doing what would Reverend Jesse Jackson do. He's looking for peace in the Middle East. He can't stop calling me, trying to figure out how can we break the cycle of violence. And what did I learn? I went over there with a colleague, Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman Crockett from Dallas, Texas, who's also a parishioner of Reverend Frederick Haynes. Thank you, Frederick Haynes, because the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. So she's picking up that work. And also Congressman Eric Swalwell of California. There we were able to look at cybersecurity concerns as well as what is happening with the state of a ceasefire. Only to come to find out, Qatar, it's not wealth, their wealth does not come from the resources they have underground in the oil. Their wealth is coming from the untapped potential that they are now cultivating. They are touching God's people. They are the ones that led the negotiations for the Venezuelan hostages to be released. It's in the State Department memo, but it's not in the White House press release. I just want to give credit where credit is due. So let's give a loving round of applause for our friends, our allies in Qatar that are brokering peace in the Middle East. This past week, we see that the Houthi tribe coming out of Yemen is now sending drones attack into the Strait of Hormuz and over into the Red Sea area. Ladies and gentlemen, if we don't put our arms around this with all alacrity, with all due speed, and put an end to this, this violence will metastasize and spread. Now it's the Houthi that are sending drones onto the ships that are going to run up the price of oil as well as run up the price of goods, because that's another 3 weeks of shipping and cost to come out of Europe to avoid going to the Middle East to get back under the Horn of South Africa and on into South Asia. It's an interconnected world. Before that, we heard about the Hamas, the Islamic Militant Resistance Organization. Before that, we heard about ISIS. Before that, we heard about Hezbollah. Do you see a pattern on how disenfranchised groups are now becoming extremists? It needs a prophetic word. We need those that understand the spirit of the Abrahamic Accord, those that understand we have a commonality in our faith, we have a commonality in our future. We cannot bomb our way to peace. Some people think you can bomb your way into peace. And I'm going to leave you with what my father told me, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. You have to believe in peace in order for there to be a peaceful situation. Not everyone believes in peace. And having been given the opportunity to talk with their foreign minister in Qatar, I said, blessed are the peacemakers, not the peacekeepers. I thank them for initiating peace. And as we see that another American has died in this horrific bombing attack that's going on in Gaza, we're living in two completely different echo chambers as we speak. We hear coming from Israel, the war on Hamas. Hamas meaning the Islamic Resistance Organization. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot get rid of the Ku Klux Klan in the United States. We have to create laws and have to sanction them and curtail them. You cannot get rid of Nazism. It's a spirit. You have to create laws and curtail them. You will never be able to get rid of all of your fears from other people. But somewhere you have to turn your enemies into friends. Somewhere you have to believe in reconciliation. Somewhere you have to be willing to bring God's children together. And it's not through bombs and missiles and 2,000-ton bombs dropping on Gaza. What is on the news over there 24/7 versus what's on the news in America. We're hearing about the war on Hamas. But the imagery and the war and the words that are coming out all over the Gulf state and around the world is the war on Gaza. We're talking about the war on Hamas, that we don't know who they're looking for, how many people, where are they? And just because someone's a human shield doesn't mean you killed the child that's being held hostage. You release the child and you wait out the hostage taker. We would all like to get over our fears, but you can't get over it in 7 weeks, in 8 weeks, in 12 weeks. People that are held captive need to be released also. My father told me the captive and the captors need to be released. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the precipice of a major war. And this gives me so much delight to be back at our family's natural home, my father's natural speaking place, the Rainbow Push, because people only united to serve humanity can actually make a difference. We are living through death and destruction like I wouldn't have imagined, Reverend Anderson. Now I see how Germany happened. It wasn't the bad people, it was the good people that sat down and did no good. It was the good people that were too passive, ordering their food, ordering their drinks, ordering their convenience, and not raising their voice to stand up while we see a calamity. And I'm going to leave you with this. Are you going to demonstrate at some point in your life? Have you ever been a part of a march? Have you ever shown resistance? Would you be willing to let the Jesus into the manger? Would you be willing to let the pregnant woman into your house? Would you be willing to let the unemployed carpenter have a job and share your resources with the family that were being displaced in Palestine? Well, that day isn't back then, that day is now. Good to see Dr. John White. Thank you so much for coming. Now we're going to have Reverend Brown. God bless you.